Hi friends, thanks for joining me today. Today we have a new toy to explore. This is an Inkle Loom. I have been wanting one for years, literally years. This one was made by Windhaven Fiber and Tools on Etsy. I will link that down below. I'm really excited just because I've been wanting one forever. So we're going to be exploring the Inkle Loom today. I'm really excited to have this. I've been wanting one for so long. This is a very small loom, and that's okay, because if I really like it, then I will probably buy a bigger loom at some point. So here we have the loom. This peg moves, so this is the tension peg, and then you weave your warp, I think the warp is this way and the weft is this way. I honestly don't know. I don't know. And I could look it up. It came with this lovely, I am right, warp. Ah, go me. Came with this lovely folder of instructions and a few patterns. So I've got some yarn here that we will be weaving with. And I've got a shuttle and a little pair of scissors and a beater. I actually bought this from the same Etsy store. I wanted to use it in place of a bone folder when I make books, and it works as a beater, so I guess I need to buy another one to replace my bone folder. Anyway, here's our loom, and I know the first thing that we need to do is make some headles. So the instructions recommend to lay the loom on its side, and the headles are the space between this top peg and the bottom peg here. So I am using waxed linen thread, the same thread that I use when I am binding books. And I am going to try my very best to tie a nice secure surgeon knot. And that is one heddle. Now the heddles on your loom allow you to create space between your warps so that you can get the shuttle through. And you want to try to get them all the same. I'm not giving myself a whole lot of ends of the There we go. The instructions say to make like 20 or 30 of these. I'm not going to make you watch me do that whole thing. We're just going to do a few, and then I will do the rest that I need for my pattern off camera, so that is done. All right, so here are some heddles. Here we go. I'm going to make a few more of these, and I will come back ready to warp the loom. Yay! Okay, I made 15 heddles. This is 11 here because that's how much I need for my pattern. So we are going to go to the loom and warp it. So my colors are these kind of a couple shades of blue and a green. I'm just doing those three. So I think I'm going to do green on the end. I gave up trying to find the center of the yarn and just pulled the label off. So this is Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. It feels pretty thin. This color, this green color, is called grass, and I am using one of the patterns that the manufacturers of my loom provided. It's a 3-color pattern, and this one's going to be kind of stripy, so I think that will be fun. So my instructions say to lay the the loom down and it's a little bit easier to warp, but I'm fumbling all over with it, so I'm not going to do that. So first we take a heddle and fold it in half. We wrap it around the yarn, the warping yarn, and we put it over this lower peg here. So I've got some slack, not really slack, I've got some spare room. I'm not using the right word. I've got some extra ends here, then we come up over this one, back around, and around the whole thing. Now we could tie this off here for switching colors, but we're not switching colors right now, so I'm just going to kind of scoot everything in and keep going. This one goes completely over. It does not need a heddle. Now this is the point where my yarn needs to come off of the ball, as it's just going to get in my way otherwise. Wrap it around like this and there. Now at this point I can tie it off because I'm going to switch colors, and I think I will do that. I'm going to give it quite a bit of end, and just like with the heddles, I'm going to tie a surgeon knot because that's nice and strong, and as I understand it, it will take quite a bit of pressure. So we're going to scoot some things in. And then I'm going to get out my next color, which I think is going to be this lighter blue. This lighter blue is called Jade Shore. Oh, I found the inside end of that one. Excellent. Okay. My daughter is home sick today, so we are just going to sit around and watch some movies, and she has graciously allowed me some time to get this set up. So maybe while we're sitting around and watching movies, I can also weave a bit. Should be fun. Now I haven't looked up any additional information about, am I doing that right? I'm not doing something right. Hold the phone. Yep, okay. Before we get the second color on, I made a mistake. This top one does not go over that top peg. It has to go that way. So now it's pretty loose, and I don't like that, so I'm going to try to undo my knot. There we go. Just get it a little bit tighter. Which way are we going? We're going this way. There we go. It doesn't have to be super tight, but you know, you want some good tension on there. All right. Fixed that. So, moving on. We need another heddle for the next color. This goes up, over, under, up and over. Can't get my finger under the thing. And comes all the way around. We're going to cut it here because then I'm changing colors. So I started to say, I don't know if I've cut this part of the video yet. I started to say I have not done any other reading about these looms other than the information that was provided by the artist who made my loom. However, I also have a friend who has done some weaving before, and she had a recommendation for me. And her recommendation was to use the same color as the weft, and then it makes the edges look a little neater. So we'll try that. This next color that I'm using is called Dragonfly. What a pretty name. I mean, visually, I'm imagining dragonfly, the yarn. So that goes this way. We put a heddle around every other strand in this particular pattern. And I know there are some patterns that would change that a little bit. There are some patterns that don't do that. But this one is just a... I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. Okay. Next, we go back to the jade color, and this one does need a heddle. Now the thing is, the heddles that I tied, oh, I don't want the knot there. The heddles that I tied can be used again and again, as long as the knots still hold. There we go, and you go up. Okay. All right, I am going to finish weaving my loom and then we'll come back. Okay, we are all threaded on the loom. So now I need to load the shuttle and then we can start weaving. So my friend had two pieces of advice for me. She recommended using the same yarn that is on your ends for the weft. So that is what I'm going to do here. I am just going to load up the shuttle with as much of this yarn as it can reasonably hold. You can always add more yarn. But it would also be nice to be able to go for a while without having to change yarn. Oh, come on. The other piece of advice that my friend had was to use a smaller thread for the first couple inches. That way you can fold that over and sew it down, and that will kind of finish off the ends of your weaving. Now the notebook that came with my loom didn't really have a lot of information about starting and stopping. Like what happens after you cut it off of the loom, how do you make sure it doesn't unravel from the ends, that kind of thing. I kind of have my own ideas about this. The only weaving I have ever done in the past has been matchbox weaving, which is very fun. And the principle's the same, so, I mean, weaving in general, it's go in, go one way, go the other way, move the threads. So I think that's good. We're gonna stop there and keep that handy if I need it. So my shuttle is loaded, but so the instructions did say that the first couple inches of your weaving is going to be unusable material most of the time. So I have this very thin crochet cotton, and it's just on like a paper bobbin, and I'm going to use that for the first couple passes, or maybe the first inch or so. So I know it's designed that you lift up the shed this way and pass your weaving thread through it, and I'm going to bring it all the way down as far as I can. Then you drop it, and I am not sure how to manipulate my hands. And this is where the beater comes in. So with the shed dropped, I can come in with the beater and kind of even these things out. So this part doesn't have to be super perfect. This is just kind of get it started before I get into actual weaving with my chosen yarn. I don't want to pull it too tight. See, this is the time where the instructions say to use the same hand each time to drop the shed, and obviously just there I did not do that. I'm going to do a couple more passes with this thread. Getting kind of tangled up a little bit here. That's okay. Again, this part is meant to be imperfect. Because it's going to be a little imperfect whether I start with the yarn that I want to weave with or not. But if it seems that I'm a little awkward, it's because I'm just learning this. I'm not entirely sure how to move my fingers to manipulate this thread in the most logical way. Maybe just a couple more of these. Nice. Now that I have an Inkle Loom in my possession, I'm probably going to look up some videos and maybe find a book about patterns and find other things that I can use. Okay, so that's not an inch. That's probably closer to half an inch or so. A little bit more than that, which is fine. We're going to cut that off there and start weaving with our loaded shuttle. So this goes up, this goes in, and I'm going to leave an end here for now. We're going to beat that down so it's nice and straight as I can. Then we drop that. I'm using the beater again. When I was exploring all of the parts that came with my loom, I kept calling it a beat stick. I'm probably still going to call it a beat stick. And it's this one. Okay. I'm checking that my work is in the frame here. It is. Good. So then we're going to lift this up and go through. And what I'm also going to do is take this end and bring that through as well so that I can cut it off and not have to worry about and kind of hide it in the weaving. It might look a little odd because there are two wefts there, but that's okay. It'll be fine. And then we just continue on like this until we're done. And so what I do know is that as I work, I'll get up to about here and then I can't get the shuttle through anymore. So then you loosen the tension peg here and slide it up so that takes the tension off of your warp. You can advance the warp, which would be pulling the whole thing towards me. This collection of knots is going to move down, and then that opens up more space so that you can continue weaving. And I will do that when I get to it. So I'm just going to weave, and we'll come back when it's done.
So friends, I started recording this Tuesday, and it is now Saturday morning. It has not taken me that long to weave. I think I mentioned at the beginning that my daughter was home sick, and then we all got it, and it was really rough. One of the highest fevers I've had in 25 years, and we're finally starting to feel better, which is great. So if I sound a little rough, if I look a little rough, it's because I have been sick for almost a week, and that's where we are. But I really want to get this done, and I want to show you this last part. So here's where I am on my weaving. And I want to show you what advancing the warp looks like. Yeah, warp. I'm still learning the terms. So I tied my knots over here, and I can't advance past this point where the threads start to separate on the loom. So this point here, I can't really get the shuttle in there. It's just a little bit too tight. So this is the part where we have to advance. So this tension peg here, we release the tension on that and get everything nice and loose. And then I'm going to tighten it up so it doesn't flop around on me. And then we pull this and maybe move the headles and maybe guide the thing through until we advance the weaving. And this was just enough good. I wasn't sure if it would be, but you see, so now I'm here at this point. I can't really advance beyond that because those threads don't separate anymore. So that's good. So then I'm going to loosen the tension peg again and pull tension back on here as much as I can get out of it, and then tighten that peg. I kind of belly up to it to make it. So now I've got all of this left to weave, and I've still got some more here on my shuttle. So we're going to try to finish. Now, I don't have any kind of technique down as far as my weaving goes. The manufacturer said that this is a right-handed loom, and you tend to manipulate the shed with your left hand and the shuttle with your right, but my brain does not quite comprehend how I can get my shuttle from the left side of my loom with my right hand. It's just like my brain's not working out on how to do that, and it could be because I've been very ill, or I don't know, I'm just not getting it. So what I'm probably going to end up doing, was always the plan to end up doing, was to watch some videos of other people looming and maybe some other tutorials. Because really the only thing I'm working with is the book that came with my loom, which so far I think is pretty good. So I am going to finish this, and then I will come back and we will take this off the loom together and see what that looks like. Okay, so here we are at the end. This is as far as I can weave. I can't get the shuttle back through here easily, so we're done. I can't advance really beyond this point because that's where everything is connected. So it's time to take it off. And the truth is, the instructions didn't really come with a whole lot of guidance for how to finish your weaving. So I'm just going to do what I think is logical. I'm cutting this off so I can get that shuttle out of the way. Then we're going to release the tension. There we go. And then I think I'm just going to cut up here at my knots. We're just going to cut straight across there. All right. Then all the headles come off. They should slip out. There we go. Yay. And these we can use again. All right, so here is my first band. It's certainly not perfect. You could see how I started really loose at the beginning, and then my tension got tighter as it went on, and I really like this part, so I think that's kind of how it's supposed to go. I'm just learning. That sun is really in the worst possible place. Let's see if we can adjust. I'm just learning this, and so far I love it. So I know I have a lot of practice to do. I have a lot to improve, and I definitely want a longer loom. Like this is maybe a yard. This might be a yard of band when I'm done with it. And that's fine. I bought a little loom for the sake of practicing. And I figure if I need a longer piece, then I could just warp it again and weave it again and then like sew two ends together and then have one longer piece. That's my thought. I'm not sure if that's how it's done or not, but that is that's my logical conclusion of this. So that's my Inkle Loom. I'm really happy with it. I definitely want to get a bigger loom that can make longer pieces of fabric. I definitely want to get one, if there's more space in your weaving area, you can use cards. I completely forget what that's called. Completely. But basically they're like little punch cards that you weave your weft through, and then you move the cards and that changes the pattern. Bigger looms can handle that. This little loom cannot handle that. And that's okay, because this was just a practice, and I really like it, and I enjoy this process. And despite how long it's taken me to finish this video because we got sick, it really didn't take me long at all to weave this sample. So I'm excited to have this new toy to play with. It's pretty relaxing. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to weave another band like this and practice some more. So I think my friend's advice on using the same color on the edges, I think that was really good advice, because the edges don't look great, but it's my first time, so I wasn't expecting it to look great, but that I could definitely see where that hides a lot of issues, is because it's all the same color in there. So this was fun, and I'm happy to have it, and I'm definitely excited to get a bigger one and learn more about this kind of band weaving. It's very exciting. So thanks so much for joining me today. I'm grateful for you. I hope all of you are well. These colds that are going around are really, really, really rough. So if you catch one, I hope you recover quickly. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm grateful for you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.